Hi everyone, welcome to helpyourmath.com. My name is Britannia Rose, and today we'll be doing simplifying square roots. Now, what is a square root? The square root of a number n is the number that gives you n when it is multiplied by itself. So for instance, we have the square root of 9. Now, the square root of 9 is 3. So, let's look at the definition again. The square root of a number, 9 in this case, is the number 3 that gives you 9 when it's multiplied by itself. So if we multiply 3 times 3, that gives us 9. So as you can see, the square root of 9 is 3 when it's multiplied by itself. That is what we're saying. Now if we go in, we had other examples. If we had the square root of 81, that gives us 9. Or if we had the square root of 121, that gives us 11. Now 9, 81, and 121 are numbers we call perfect square. A perfect square is the product of a number being multiplied by itself. So 9 is the product of 3 being multiplied by 3. 81 is the product of 9 being multiplied by 9. And 121 is the product of 11 being multiplied by 11. Now, you can take the square root of any number, and some of these numbers are not all perfect squares. So if we had, for instance, the square root of 24. Now 24 is not a perfect square, but we can simplify this radical to its lowest term. So one way of doing this is to find a perfect square factor of 24. In this case, we'll be using 4, because 4 is a perfect square. It's 2 times 2 equals to 4. So we'll be using 4. So we rewrite this as the square root of 4 times 6. Now let's rewrite this so you can see clearly. We can have the square root of 4 times the square root of 6. Simplify this further, we have 2 to the square root of 6. Now we leave 6 under the radical because it cannot be reduced any further. That is the lowest term possible. There's no perfect square, so that will be your final answer. All right, so now we're going to do the square root of 108. So to do this, we're going to do it a different way. We're going to list out the prime factors of 108. Now, a prime number is a number that can be divided by 1 and itself, only by 1 and itself. So let's list out the prime factor numbers of 108. So let's have 108 here. So if we divide 108 by 2, we're going to get 2 times 54. Divided by 2 again, we're going to get 2 times 27. Now we can't divide by 2 anymore, but we can divide by 3. So we're going to do 3 times 9, and we're going to divide this by 3. We're going to have 3 times 3. So you can see the prime numbers of 128 are 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. So we're going to rewrite this in terms of prime numbers. So we're going to have the square root of 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. Now, as you can see, we have 2 2's and 3 3's. So we're going to rewrite this expression again as pairs. So we're going to have the square root of 2 times 2 times the square root of 3 times 3 times 3. Now, the reason why we're using pairs is if we go back to the definitions, it said that the square root of a number is that number that gives you n when it's multiplied by itself. So 2 times 2, as you can see here, if you did the math, that would be 4. And the square root of that would be 2. So we're using the pairs just so that we know that 2 will be our answer here. The same thing applies here. 3 times 3, that will be 3. The square root of that will be 3. And then because there is no pair here, there's only one number, we keep this under the radical. So we're going to times all of that. Now our final answer now will be 6 radical 3. And that's the final answer.